see. Perfect. Okay, so hello everyone. As was said, my project is titled Auto Theory in Film. So I'm sure people are wondering what auto theory is. It is basically a term, like a literary device, used to describe the intersection between autobiography and theory. That's the very basic definition of it. One of the most prominent examples of it is this book called Testo Junkie, which goes through the life of the author as they take testosterone, and it also comments on like theories as well in terms of gender. And a lot of the auto theory works that exist today largely talk about women's studies, gender studies, or sexuality studies. And the important thing to know is that there aren't any current works of auto theory that are film based. So that prompted me towards the question of, can auto theory be applied in the realm of film? And if so, how do you do it? So my creative project is an auto-theoretical screenplay with the thought of being adapted into film heavily in mind, in terms of like stage directions or film like lens, et cetera, et cetera. And it is based on a famous work of fiction. And I was inspired by fan fiction in that sense, in terms of how it adapts an already known work of either television, literature, and or like TV shows, and it kind of rewrites it in a way that changes the narrative in one way or another, and is usually quite focused on gender and sexuality as well. So my project does fall into what auto theory has already begun to describe in gender and sexuality studies. You'll see a lot of that in there as well. And some things to look for, I'm going to show a little snippet of what I've written, like the first couple of pages, the first scene, accompanied by some storyboards as well, of the two characters in the scene. And so some things to look for in this are autobiographical elements, any like theoretical elements, and adaptation techniques as well. And then it's followed by a little bit of commentary as well. So let's move on.
This work is taken from a very important book that many of you will be familiar with, as it has been taught in many high schools across the country. A special thanks to the author and the teacher that first assigned it to me. Characters: Holden, a troubled teenager in search of a mentor. Old Spencer, Holden's history teacher at boarding school. Act 1, Scene 1. Holden gets kicked out. Time, then. Place, the city, inside Old Spencer's house. Day. Old Spencer, reading from Holden's paper. All right with me if you fail me, though, as I'm failing everything else except English anyway. Respectfully yours, Holden Caulfield. Do you blame me for giving you an F, boy? I wish to hell he'd stop calling me boy all the time. No, sir, I certainly don't. Well, what would you have done if you were me? I mean, how do you feel about getting kicked out? I'm curious to know. I heard you also had difficulty at Wooten and Elkton Hills. I didn't get expelled from Wooten or Elkton. I left because I was surrounded by phonies, just like I am here. I don't really feel much of anything, sir. Well, I didn't want to fail you, but you understand that I had to, don't you? Yes. It's not your fault that I'm a real moron. I've had this conversation at least 5 other times with 5 other teachers who put their blind faith in me. I wonder if the lagoon at the park will be frozen over when I get home. If it is, where did the ducks go? Did someone take them away, or did they just fly off to the next lagoon? And what about this school? You mean about how I flunked out? Yes. Do you have any particular qualms about leaving? Oh, I have a few qualms, all right, but not too many. I don't think it's really hit me yet. It takes things a while to hit me. Do you feel no concern for your future, boy? Oh, I feel some concern for my future, all right, but not too much, I guess. You will, boy, and by then it'll be too late. I hated hearing those words out of his mouth. Too late, like I was dead or something. I guess I will. I'm trying to help you, by telling you all of this. I know you are, sir. Thing is, I have to get going now, but I appreciate the talk. Really. Look, sir, don't worry about me. I'll be all right. I'm just going through a phase right now. Everybody goes through phases, don't they? So that was an excerpt from my screenplay, um, which is taken from, of course, The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. Some things I hope that you were able to take away from it are how Holden's voiceover and regular lines, how there's a switch between them both, as well as how the voiceovers um, are reflective rather than happening at the current moment, as well as in the beginning when the time is set in the past and the place is vaguely referred to as the city. And then finally, I just wanted to point out those um, conflicts in terms of gender and identity. I think that this, I think that this character, Holden, is quite easy to portray in a queer sense, given that Holden faces a lot of identity crises in the book, which can be related to the queer experience, specifically the queer experience regarding mental health and trauma, which are themes that are explored in the rest of the screenplay. But I hoped that I would be able to give a little snippet of what that's like and encompass it a little bit here in these first 2 pages. So hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Alrighty. So that was my little spiel on the reading of the first 2 or 3 pages of that screenplay. And some things that you don't see in there are like lighting, for example, or I'm also doing like title cards between scenes and kind of separating it out that way. So more of the visual aspects I'm not really able to show, but they are related in the form of the script format. So in conclusion, this project would help expand the bounds that are currently tied around auto theory. Right now, it's mainly literature, and I would like to see it leave that little confine of literature and see it more in visual media. Hopefully, others in the field of film or screenwriting would be able to utilize it in their work in the future. And I wanted to give a special thanks to my faculty mentor who helped me navigate this project, kind of draw inspiration from different sources, had me reading and watching a lot of theoretical and autobiographical films, articles, literature, and that draws me to my bibliography. So I think we're opening up to questions now. I'll stop recording. Let me see. And